Prabhuji, should I start?
Hare Krishna Mata, how are you? Nicely. Very
Yes,
well.
Should I start?
Yes, please.
नामयों विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तो स्वामीति नामिने नामयों विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तो स्वामीनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषो शून्यवादी पासतो देशतारिणे जयो राधा माधव जयो कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधव जयो कुंज बिहारी जयो गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन जमुना तीरावनचारी जमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Srila Prabhupada, Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Mata. Nice to hear you singing. Well, let me give you some kudos. Let's see how it goes. This one here. Yeah. Look, it's a big one. Thank you. Okay. So who is our gatekeeper?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Oh, beautiful. That's great. Okay, now here. This one comes here. So what did we stop last time? Somebody wrote it where we stopped last time?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji, each moment of Srila Prabhupada association.
You're still looking for it, right? Okay, we wait for you. Everybody doing okay? Good? Shovik?
Yes, Prabhuji. Each. Just a
Good?
minute. Just a minute.
That's okay.
Each movement in Srila Prabhupada.
I think we get in there.
Each movement in Srila Prabhupada's association is instructive.
Okay. So, ready?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Everybody give a thumbs up. Okay, each moment in Srila Prabhupada's association is instructive. Can you hear okay? Okay, huh? Even
Okay,
the
yes.
simplest dealings, hold on, even the simplest dealings, his every action is exact and proper. He notices the smallest detail. In mid-morning, when I entered his room, Prabhupada noted I was wearing a new cotton dhoti I had purchased several days ago. He commented the thick quality and asked the price. I told him it was only 14 rupees. Oh my God, 14 rupees. And I was like 400, 500 rupees. He also asked how I purchased it. When I explained that I had little money saved, he said that he thought it was good bargain and told me to call in Aksayananda Swami. When he came in, Prabhupada told him about my new dhoti and asked him to reimburse me for the money spent. He said that my small savings should be kept for emergency use and the temple should cover my expenses. That's nice. Over the past few days, Prabhupada has given many small but significant instructions on a variety of issues. For example, a devotee who lost his original beads gave me a new set for Srila Prabhupada to sanctify by chanting on them. Prabhupada agreed, but mentioned that this was not really necessary because it is the chanting of the devotee that is sanctified at initiation, not the beads. Okay, I'm going to read this again because it has to do with me. For example, a devotee who lost his original beads gave me a new set for Prabhupada to sanctify by chanting on them. Prabhupada agreed, but mentioned that this was not really necessary because it is the chanting of the devotee that is sanctified at initiation, not the beads. This is very nice. I wish I could save this. Okay. So if somebody can give, for example, not the beads, can get this for me and send it, I appreciate it, okay? You know, maybe later on. Okay. Anyway, during a walk, Aksayananda Swami told Prabhupada about a retired gentleman who wants to live in the ashram. The man is very respectful and even offered his obeisances to the sannyasis. Prabhupada replied, if a sannyasi is not offered respect, the punishment is that he must fast for the day. That is Shastric injunction. Bhagavatamrta asked what the punishment was if one doesn't fast. Prabhupada said simply, you must go to hell. Hare Krishna. An astrological researcher wrote from London, asked for Srila Prabhupada time and date of birth. Prabhupada obliged him. Regarding your question about my birth, I was born September 1st, 1896, Tuesday, at about 4 in the afternoon. My Rasi is Mithuna. This is very nice. Wow, it's a lot of nuggets in there. Prabhupada is always anxious to establish new centers in India and build up those that already existed. He wrote to must be Mahansa Swami to say that he intends to spend at least 1 crore rupees in Hyderabad. That's Mahansa. 1 crore rupees in Hyderabad. And he authorized Gaura Govinda Swami to open a center in Orissa. The Vrindavan devotees are to check the offer of a temple in Kanpur. Srila Prabhupada is always flexible. Gagamuni Swami is to come to India with 5 Mercedes vans and 20 men to begin traveling Sankirtana and standing order distributing to libraries. Although Prabhupada had requested him to manage the Calcutta temple again, when he heard this new program of selling books, he wrote, yes, your present engagement is more important. Managing Calcutta temple is not so important. I'm pleased that you are selling my books. This is superior engagement, so please increase it more and more. December 9th, 75. There are problems with the drainage from our guest house. The septic tanks are inadequate and there is no room to build large ones. Neither is the local municipality providing sewage lines to this area. Overflow is polluting the back alley, and there are being complaints from local residents. Prabhupada has had many discussions with Sorabi, Gunanava, and other managers aiming at finding a solution. This morning, instead of the regular walk, he went down the side alley along with the Vrindavana Palikrama path and along the Vrindavan Palikrama path. He came out into an open space of about 2 acres, said to be the actual Ramarat area where Krishna Balarama played with their Gaur friends. Walking across the soft sands, he looked around at the barren land. A few of Vrindavan's many peacocks strutted here and there, and a group of green parrots, like a gang of noisy adolescents, is squawking and squabble up overhead. A crow cawed loudly from the top of a high tree, and a variety of birds flitted among the surrounding foliage. Prabhupada is thinking of purchasing the land to use as a drainage for the guest house and also suggests to turn it into a park. As he walked around, he said, we should colonize the area, similar to our Los Angeles community. He didn't stay very long, and after a short walk on the road, he returned to the temple. Push it up, please. Class in the morning was longer than usual. Prabhupada contrasted the genuine renunciation of Srila Rupa Goswami, the founder of present-day Vrindavan village, with that of some of his modern imitators. Such impostors renunciate simply come to beg, chapati just to sell them in the market in order to buy bidis, a cheap variety of cigarette. Prabhupada explained that following the rules and regulations of devotional service, Vaidhi Bhakti is essential. First, there is Vaidhi Bhakti, then Raga Bhakti, a spontaneous service, and at least Prema Bhakti, pure love of God. In the beginning stage, we have not awakened our natural love for Krishna, and therefore we should be careful not to act whimsically. He reminded us that by birth we may be at the disadvantage, but not disqualified. Somebody can read from here?
Yes, Gaura Prabhu.
हरे कृष्णा। शोभिक प्रभु जी आप रीड कर लीजिए।
Okay. He explained that progress depends on proper guidance. Then he described the vital role that he was playing as the representative of the six Goswamis. So, in the beginning, neo- neophyte stage, not that because we have to come to Vrindavan, immediately we have become advanced. No, Vaidhi Bhakti must be followed, regulative principle by the injunction of the Shastra and the order of the spiritual master. One who is inquisitive to understand Brahman, he should be given, please follow up. Hare Krishna. Yes, yes, yes. He should be given chance. Just like there is a little fire, fan it, fanning, and it becomes a big fire. So our process is that we pick up anyone. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given open declaration. Krishna bhajante nahi jati kuladi vichar. Anyone who is desires desirous of becoming Krishna conscious, it is open. Anyone can come. Prabhupada went on to say that although a devotee is naturally enthusiastic to offer this process of on purification to everyone, we should not be disappointed if only a few take it up. Nor should, nor should we be complacent. Now that we have achieved what many consider to be the goal of Krishna consciousness itself, residence in the holy Dham. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never sat down tightly in Vrindavan. He traveled all over India and took so much trouble. So preaching is very important and you should engage. That will help you. Every one of you should be pure in your activities and try to preach Krishna consciousness as far as possible. If you remain pure, then your preaching will be successful and you will get encouragement. That is the instruction of all Vaishnavas. Thank you very much. Back in Prabhupada's room after breakfast, Hansadut read out some particularly ecstatic letters from America describing the book distribution. Prabhupada's enthusiastic response to them was clear evidence that, as he said in class, he is fanning to bring back the fire of spiritual consciousness in the hearts of the conditioned souls. He has declared the entire world an open house for the introduction of Krishna consciousness. The later show just how seriously his disciples are applying themselves to the task. In a BBT report, Rameswara informed Srila Prabhupada that this month they, they would printed 3,50,000 English Bhagavad Gitas with 5 lakhs more planned in hardbound. Srimad Bhagavatam 6th Canto Part 2 was at the printers and Part 3 was in production. A record number of Back to Godheads are also going on. Rameswara concluded enthusiastically Our only desire is to surrender our lives to help publish and distribute the millions of your divine graces wonderful books. Here in LA, they are selling over 2 lakh BTGs in this month of December, more than even the entire Radha Damodar party combined. Of course, Radha Damodar is selling more big books than anyone else. Devotees are more enlivened in the USA than I have ever seen for distributing your book. This will be the biggest month ever. Already 1 million BTV is not enough for this month. Nothing pleases Srila Prabhupada more than hearing how his books are being printed and sold. He wrote back, "You keep your enlivened position. I was just speaking to Hamsadut about the good fortune of America, that Krishna consciousness is there. And if you can cover the whole America with Krishna consciousness, that will be good for the whole world." Shall I continue?
Well, next one can come. Who is the next?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat. Yes, Mataji, I'll read. Then
Okay.
Hansaduta Prabhu. Yes, ma'am. Then Hansaduta Prabhu read out an ecstatic report by Uttam Srila Dasa, the president of the Chicago temple. Although it was not directly addressed to Srila Prabhupada, it described the efforts of the devotees in the recent record-breaking Thanksgiving Day book distribution competition. Out of 5,000 books sold by the three temples, Chicago, assisted by 9 Radha Damodar traveling Sankirtan party brahmacharis, sold over 2,000. The letter was written to Rameshwara Prabhu and sent on. Hansaduta read it out loud as Prabhupada listened, eyes something wide with amazement and appreciation at the incredible effort and risk his disciples are taking to distribute his books throughout this world of darkness. We took the challenge seriously. Not that we are puffed up and overconfident of victory, for we knew that anything could happen by Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Then the first crew left, 16 men and women. They distributing they were distributing by about 6:30 a.m. Later, a small party went out by about 10 a.m. with more books and prasadam. And later on in the day, others came out. Altogether, there were about 25 devotees at the airport throughout the day. Chipati and I sort of floated about, helping in different ways, like you did. There were the 17 regular distributors plus Tripurari Swami and a couple of weekend regulars and a few more new corners. In the first hour and a half, most of the distributors had done 15 to 25 books. So by the time we got out, about 11 a.m., they had already done about 300 to 400 books. The mornings are always good. Things were quiet, not too many announcements, and no breakups or hassles. We all met together for lunch at 1 p.m. and took up preliminary count over 750 books. We were close to breaking the world's record halfway through the day. By 1 p.m., Manusata Das had already done 100, Raghusa Das 80, and Tripurari Swami 70. Our heads began to stand on end a little as we speculated about the potential results, and everyone was back distributing by 1:30 p.m. Basically, we distribute two terminals. There is a corridor about 25 feet wide that the people funnel through after coming from the fingers. All of the passengers come through on their way to the baggage claim and also on their way to a flight. We found out from the paper next morning that over 22,000 people came to the airport that day. At about 4 p.m., a demon worker of the airlines came up to one devotee and punched him in the face. The men were stunned. Then he went up to another devotee and punched him in the face. The men and karmis began to congregate. Tripurari Swami came running to see what was happening. The demon punched him in the face. All the devotees immediately jumped on the demon and began beating the stool out of him. There was a huge crowd all around, and the devotees were shouting for the police to stop this man. There was blood on his face and on the ground. Prabhusha's punch had drawn blood, and there were drops of blood on Prabhusha's clothes and drops of perspiration on his face. He was feeling very blissful. Prabhupada's, Prabhupada's eyes opened wide at the description of the fight. Acha, he said in surprise, shaking his hand in wonder at the risk his men were taking on his and Krishna's behalf. Hansidutta was laughing and shaking his hand in awe, and he read on. Half the crowd was in our favor, and the other half against. The police came in, and the demon said that we had given him a book and then taken it back and straight a flight. The police arrested the devotees. This is typical of all the incidents. They attack us and we get arrested. Anyway, somehow or another, by Krishna's grace, the devotees were released and back distributing in 20 minutes. Around 6 p.m., I took a preliminary count. I sat in the phone booth and added the score. As I added, my eyebrows began to raise higher and higher. My eyes began to bulge from their sockets. My mouth dropped open. I was speechless. Tears actually began to flow from my eyes. We had broken 1,400 books. I couldn't believe it. I was stunned and took another count to be sure. And sure enough, it was right. I began to shout in ecstasy, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. All the karmis were looking at me through the phone booth and skewed up faces of bewilderment. When I got back, there had been another incident. A couple of plain clothers, cops, had tried to set up one of the women for an arrest, and she tried to get one of the men to help her. One of the men tried to intervene, and they arrested him and took him downstairs. Another mother went down to find the girl whom they tried to arrest, and when the cops saw her, they said, "Where's the other girl?" "I don't know," she said. "Okay, then we will arrest you instead." "Hey, let me go. I didn't do anything." Two small scuffles broke out with the two devotees and the police. Another devotee came in to stop it, and the police turned on him, and the three of them mercilessly beat him up on the floor in front of many baby standers. One of the policeman's guns fell out during the scuffle, and books were scattered everywhere. The devotees were then taken to jail downtown. The two men devotees. Of course, this knocked at least 100 books off our score. Prabhupada was listening with rapt attention to the whole description, occasionally raising his eyebrows in surprise and shaking his head and smiling in appreciation. He was aglow with obvious pride at the determination of his disciples to sell his books despite all obstacles, and he listened to the entire report, blow by blow. While he listened to this incident and took prasadam, a demon who had found 3 books ripped them up and threw them in our midst, unaffected, a little tired, but undaunted in their determination. The devotees went back to distribute. Meanwhile, a huge blizzard began, and traffic started jamming both on the roads and in the air. At 10:30 p.m., I got a report from Sripati. Over 1,700 books, we might break 2,000. This is incredible. Who can imagine the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? All but 4 of the men were coming back at 11:30 p.m. Manusutta, Praghosa,
With
Tripurari,
Manasutta with 191. Yeah.
Manusutta with 191, Praghosa with 153, Tripurari Swami with 135, and Ranganath with 120. The first crew returned in the blizzard by 2 a.m. and the 4 others left about 1:30 to 2 a.m. Everyone struggled to get up for Mangala Aarti. The 4 latecomers didn't even go to sleep, and even in ecstasy Kirtan, I ran around to get the final scores. On Thursday, we fasted from breakfast and chanted and slept till noon Aarti, when he had a big Aarti Kirtan and after a nice feast. Thank you for inspiring us to compete the mercy of the spiritual master. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't know what to do. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, your servant, Uttam Shloka Das. Another page carried the totals of each distributor. 2 men did over 400 between them. Manusato set a new individual world's record with 210 books. Prabhosa and was just behind with 200. Another 7, Tripurari Swami, Ranganatha, Romapada, Buddhimanta, and Teraka Prabhus, including 2 women, Tadbhuja and Jagadhatri Dasis, broke the 100 book mark. The grand total was 2042 hardbound books. At the bottom of the list, Uttam Shloka added a note to Rameswaram. My humble suggestion and request is that you read this letter and all of its contents to the assembled devotees of New Dwarka Dham. Even though it is irregularly composed and full of mistakes and errors, it is still very transcendentally pleasing and will be realized by all. At the top of the letter, Rameswar had written in large, clear capital letters, the most ecstatic newsletter,
the most static
newsletter of all time should be read aloud to all of the assembled devotees. When Hansaduta finished, Srila Prabhupada had a huge smile on his face, clearly pleased and obviously enjoying Transcendental's ecstasy. He dictated his reply not to Rameshwara but to Uttam Shloka. Please accept my blessings. I read your Sankirtan newsletter with great relish. Europe and America are in great danger. This Hare Krishna movement is enveloping them. The Sankirtan devotees are very, very dear to Krishna because they are doing the field work of book distribution. Krishna has immediately recognized them as true servants. Just like during the wartime, a farm boy or ordinary clerk who goes out to fight for his country on the front immediately becomes a national hero for his sincere effort. So Krishna immediately recognizes a preacher of Krishna consciousness who takes all risks to deliver his message. It is called Dhira Brata, determination. These boys and girls are Mahatmas. Mahatmanas tu mam pratha. Partha devim prakritim asthita bhajante ananya manaso kyanta bhutavid avyayam. O son of Parth, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. This verse is applicable here. If these boys were under the material nature, they would not take us much risk. They are Mahatma, they are real Mahatma, not that long beard and saffron cloth Mahatma. They are unswerving in their determination. Dhira Brata, all glories to the American devotees. I hope this letter finds you and all the Sankirtan devotees well. Your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami. Shall I continue, Prabhu?
Yeah, we can go to the next one. Who is the next? Yeah, okay. Carry on.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. Am I audible? Haribol?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Book distribution is going on enthusiastically all over Europe as well, and devotees, they were also taking risks. Yesterday, Allah Nath told Srila Prabhupada that in some places in Western Europe, the devotees are being arrested simply for selling his books. He wanted to know if they should make some secret arrangement for selling. Srila Prabhupada replied, "Why secret? Take permission from the courts." Allah Nath said that was not possible. Prabhupada, however, said that if arrested, we should use the opportunity to present our case in court. This is very important book. The government should allow us to sell. Present in court the professors' opinions, how they are giving standing orders, why the state should restrain distributing knowledge. Do they want to keep their man in darkness? You have to preach like that. Adversity never daunts Prabhupada. He has firm conviction in his mission and is prepared to fight to establish Krishna consciousness in this God-forsaken world. Prahlad Maharaj's instruction give daily affirmation that Krishna consciousness is the prime necessity of life. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada wants to give Krishna consciousness freely to as many people in as many places in the world as possible, and distributing transcendental literature is the most effective means. Krishna is empowering Srila Prabhupada to write the books. He, in turn, is now investing his energy in inspiring his disciples to distribute them. This afternoon, I spoke to Harikesh and Hansaduta Prabhus about my service. Prabhupada is due to leave in a couple of days for Delhi and Bombay, and Gopal Krishna is constantly reminding me that he wants to go to Calcutta. I confessed to them that I have become extremely attached to serving Srila Prabhupada, and I am not particularly enthusiastic about going to Calcutta. Harikesh has changed his opinion about my being on the party, even to the point of telling Gopal Krishna directly to back off from his idea. He told him that Prabhupada's personal party is transcendental to zonal and GBC considerations. Harikesha advised me you should ask Prabhupada if you can stay with him. I told him I was reluctant to bother Srila Prabhupada with personal requests, but he urged me to go ahead after all. He said it is directly connected to Srila Prabhupada, so it affects him too. You have nothing to lose. At worst, he can only say no. I accepted his words as good advice, and tomorrow I will ask Srila Prabhupada personally. December 10, 1975. Morning walks are always fascinating. Devotees often bring up controversial subjects just to get Prabhupada's reaction. Akshayanand Swami initiated the discussion this morning by mentioning a questionable statement made by a senior devotee in a class recently. I was told by one devotee that the Acharya does not have to be a pure devotee. Prabhupada stopped abruptly. What? That the Acharya does not have to be a pure devotee. Prabhupada was annoyed. Who is that rascal? Who said? Who is that rascal? The Acharya does not require to be a pure devotee. Nitai said. He said that Lord Brahma is the Acharya in the Brahma Sampradaya, but yet he is sometimes afflicted by passion. So therefore, it appears that Acharya does not have to be a pure devotee. So it does not seem right. So who is that rascal? I want to know. Who has said? Nitai Das. Prabhupada was indignant and denounced such a speculative mentality. He manufactured his idea. Therefore, he is a rascal. Nitai has become an authority. No, actually, he said that he thought something rascal dumb, and he is expressing that. Therefore, he is more rascal. He walked on again, digging down to the real cause of the comments. These things are going on. As soon as he reads some books, he becomes an acharya, whatever rascal he may be. So there is no doubt that Lord Brahma is a pure devotee. Akshanan asked. Whatever he may be, he is acharya, Prabhupada answered. Then he stopped again and brought in another example. Then Krishna is also passionate. Krishna danced with so many gopis. There he is passionate. These things are to be seen in this way, that such exalted person, he sometimes become passionate. So how much we shall be careful. This is the instruction. Then we petty things, petty persons, how much we shall be careful. It is not that. Acharya has become passionate, therefore I shall become passionate. I am strict follower of Acharya. These rascals say like this. Srila Prabhupada gave a lengthy critique, including commenting on various gurus and writers who, unable to understand Lord Krishna's transcendental nature, still want to comment on his words or on the literature that describe him. They make him appear an ordinary man only to imitate him. There are others who think they can understand him simply by reading the Gita or Bhagavatam, despite Krishna's statement that out of many millions of persons, only one may understand him. Srila Prabhupada said that a Guru Acharya is essential for proper realization. He referred to his early morning translation work from verse 30 of the 7th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. You will find in today's tape that Prahlad Maharaj is recommending spiritual life begins by Guru Shushrusah, by serving Guru. Rupa Goswami said, Ado Guruvashram. The first beginning is to take shelter of the bona fide spiritual master, Shad Dharma Prashat. Then inquire from him about the spiritual path. Sadhu Marganu Gamanam.
Gamanam. Yes.
Yeah. Follow the previous acharyas. These are the steps. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjun said, Shishyaste ha Shadimam. Now I become your disciple, teach me. And these rascals are more than Arjuna. There is no need of Guru. He says, Shishyaste ham. Why? He was ready, he was already friend. Why he should submit himself as disciple? That is the beginning of spiritual life. Hare Krishna Puruji, is there anyone to continue reading?
Hare Krishna Guruji.
Yeah, thank
May I
you.
start?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Carry on.
Hare Krishna Guruji. This conversation eventually led into another controversial subject in which Chaitya Guru said, one life member's wife was very upset. She came to see you with that rascal yogi. He said that the Vedas mention that we can drink and that women and men have equal rights. Prabhupada acknowledged the meeting with a nod of his head. Chaitya Guru went on. Then, as she was also saying the same thing, you answered her. Okay, if women and men have equal rights, why don't you beget children in the womb of your husband? Prabhupada smiled as he recalled the incident. She was very upset. Chaitya Guru said, she said Prabhupada sometimes says things like that which are unreasonable. Everyone laughed loudly. No, Prabhupada said, I said that if you have equal rights, then make some arrangement. Sometimes you become pregnant, sometimes you become pregnant. Why become pregnant? Why there is no right, equal right? Chaitya Guru explained. She told me, Prabhupada sometimes says these things that we feel all ashamed. But in speaking spiritual understanding, Prabhupada boldly pronounced, we cannot make any compromise. What to speak of in Mauritius, in Chicago, I told. Then Prabhupada related an exchange he had with a stewardess on a plane journey in America. She had taken exception to a TV show in which Prabhupada had declared that men and women were not equal. I think that was the same stewardess, Harikesa offered, who came in the back and asked us why the Swamiji doesn't like women. Prabhupada was apologetic for the misunderstanding, but he wasn't about to alter the truth. No, I didn't. I don't say that I don't like women, but I cannot say that equal rights. How can I say? First of all, show equal rights. Your husband becomes sometimes pregnant, and then you become pregnant. Alternately, Prabhupada explained that even in Russia, where they tried they had tried to make people equal. Still, there are managers and workers, so that sort of equality isn't ever possible. When Harikesa mentioned that nowadays there are women senators and ambassadors, Prabhupada still did not concede that this means equality. That simply requires education, he said. But by nature, the woman's body is different from man's. However, when Chaitya Guru took his comments to imply that this difference means that women are subordinate, Prabhupada corrected him. Not subordinate, actually, their occupations are different. That is another mistake. Just like the leg is walking and the head is directing, so although the occupation is different, both of them are important. We require the head and leg also. If simply head is there, if there is no leg, then who will walk? This is the understanding, not equal. Everyone must have his separate duties to serve the whole. That is the arrangement. This is real understanding. The most important part of the body is head, but that does not mean the leg is not important. Leg is important in its work, and head is important in its work. So we require both, head and tail both. Not that simply leg or simply head, but when we make comparative study, we can understand that head is more important than the leg. If you cut your leg, you can live, but if you cut your head, you will die. Therefore, the conclusion is head is more important than the leg. Comparative study. Otherwise, head is also required and leg is also required. You collect some flowers, nice flowers, and add with it some green foliage. It becomes more beautiful. Simply flower is not so beautiful. Simply flower is not so beautiful. When it is arrayed with some green foliage, then it becomes more beautiful. So we have to take in that sense. But comparatively, the flower is more important than the foliage, but the both of them are required. Harikesa added, the foliage also becomes beautiful because of the flower. Yes, that is God's creation. Prabhupada agreed. Just like these trees, they are condemned. But still, with trees, we can make a beautiful garden, and that is very enjoyable. That is God's arrangement. For an ordinary man, a life void of family affairs is almost unthinkable. Thus, Prahlad Maharaj's instructions to develop detachment from worldly affairs are very difficult to appreciate, except by those with a very broad understanding and a genuine desire to seek out the real meaning of life. Sitting on his asana during class, the perfect representative of the Goswamis, Srila Prabhupada, explained how painless this process can be by simply directing the inherent tendency to form bonds back towards Krishna. This is bhakti process. Not that we have to bring a separate attachment. This has to be cleansed. It has to be cleansed. That is described in the Paskar, Narad
Pancharatna.
Paskaratra.
Pancharatra.
सर्वोपधि विनिर्मुक्ता तत् परत्वेन निर्मलम हरिके हर्षिकेन
Risikesha.
हर्षिकेन ऋषिकेश सेवना भक्तिर उत्तमम. Consciousness is there, attachment is there, but it is being covered by so many designations. Just like we have got feelings for raising children, attachment, that is attachment. So what Mother Yashoda is doing, she is attached to Krishna, and that is Vrindavan. The same thing is otherwise Vrindavan life means all attachments to Krishna. Mother Yashoda is attached to Krishna. Nand Maharaj is attached to Krishna. The cowherd boys are attached to Krishna. The cows and calves are attached to Krishna. Radharani is attached to Krishna. The trees are attached to Krishna. The flowers are attached to Krishna. The water is attached to Krishna. That is Vrindavan. Vrindavan means the central attachment is Krishna. That is Vrindavan. So if you can create the central attachment for Krishna, then it is Vrindavan. Then you can create Vrindavan anywhere. Any family, any society, any country. Just make the point of attachment Krishna. And it is Vrindavan that is required. That is the Krishna consciousness moment. Immediately after class, as Prabhupada relaxed in his Darsana room waiting for breakfast, Harikesa asked some questions about Lord Brahma. He explained that he had read in the Srimad Bhagavatam that every living entity upon leaving the spiritual world first falls to the level of Brahma. He wondered whether that means that each jiva becomes a Lord Brahma in charge of his own universe, or as some devotees have interpreted that he falls to the planet Brahmalok. Prabhupada confirmed that each living being becomes a Lord Brahma. A little Ingeniously, I tried to grasp this inconceivable fact, but that means each and every living being has his own universe. Prabhupada responded rather sharply. Oh, Srimad Bhagavatam is wrong. Do you do you not think it is possible for Krishna to give everyone his own universe? For Krishna, anything is possible. We brought up the statement that the end of the universe, Lord Brahma, as a pure devotee and the head of our spiritual lineage, goes back to Godhead. Prabhupada confirmed that this does not happen to every Brahma. The living beings begin their entanglement in material life from that status and then fall further down as their material desires increase. Today, during Prabhupada's morning message on the roof, I tentatively asked if I could continue as his servant. I explained that I had become very attached to personally serving him and had no specific engagement to return to. Although Gopal Krishna wanted me to go to Calcutta to help manage the temple, I frankly admitted that I had no experience with management in India and thus I didn't really feel qualified. Prabhupada thought for a moment and then asked what my educational background was, in particular whether I knew any foreign languages. I confessed to having no talent for learning foreign languages. In fact, it was my worst subject in school. He listened to what I said, then sent me to call Harikesa. So he asked Harikesa, he wants to remain with me. What do you think? Well, he's doing very nicely. I think it would be a good thing for you to have a steady servant. What about Nitai? Nitai is in Bombay, renewing his visa and is supposed to rejoin Prabhupada there. Harikesa was forthright. Well, Nitai joined up with us in America, but when we got there, he wanted to leave and stay to develop the Gurukul. There is no guarantee he won't want to leave again in another few months. But Harisuri can remain as your permanent servant. You won't be disturbed by any more changes. Srila Prabhupada tipped his head. All right. I am ecstatic. I can't believe my good fortune. 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was cleaning the temple floors, and I am, now I am to his divine.
No, up. Umi is saying, let's go up.
पूरी ऊपर ऊपर जाने दो,
Yes,
अपोजिट डायरेक्शन में जा रहे हो.
Run away text.
yes.
वेट
Stop.
Above.
थोड़ा सा
Okay.
ऊपर. हाँ यहाँ
हाँ,
पे
ये वाला.
बस.
I am ecstatic. I can't believe my good fortune. 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was cleaning the temple floors, and now I am to be His Divine Grace, permanent personal servant. This is solely His mercy, because I have absolutely no qualification. Unlike His previous servants, I can't cook, type, or do anything useful. Yet He is keeping me on just to purify me. Although I have no particular ability to do any of the servant's duties, I have tried to do my best to perform whatever menial service Prabhupada has given me. It seems that because of this service attitude, Prabhupada is prepared to keep me on. December 11th, 1975. Prabhupada always begins his morning walk at dawn when the still, fresh morning air and quiet atmosphere are healthy for both body and mind. Few people are out then, only the occasional block or buffalo ambles slowly past, straining with heavily loaded carts. The drivers peer with somnambulent curiosity from under thick blankets at the western Vaishnavas struggling to keep up with their master, straining to hear his every word as he enlightens and entertains us with his vision of the world seen through the eyes of Shastra. Srila Prabhupada always strictly adheres to the authoritative statements of the Vedic literature, yet he expertly assesses our particular time, place, and circumstance and delivers the Vedic conclusions in a way that is easy for us to understand and apply. Despite his obvious success in spreading Krishna consciousness without any loss of its true potency, there are those who criticize his adaptation of the principles of sadhana. These people sometimes confuse the minds of his neophyte disciples with other ideas. All over India, many Babajis and gurus claim to be authorities on spiritual life, yet they find fault with Prabhupada's honest efforts to rescue the fallen conditioned souls. Here in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada is especially protective of his vulnerable young disciples, always watching to see that we do not become infected with ideas that will poison our spiritual lives. He strictly forbids us to live outside of the temple, and in the past posed strong opposition to the tendency of some devotees to go off to Radhakund to live with a particular Babaji there. He is very much on his guard to see that his spiritual children are not beguiled by envious or ambitious spiritualists. He knows that such people can easily undermine our faith and cause havoc in our spiritual progress. He constantly insists to the temple leaders that they be alert in this regard. These impediments in our spiritual lives do not always come from non-Gaudiya Sampradaya elements. Prabhupada is aware that some of his God brothers are less than enthusiastic about his achievements. The natural respect for our spiritual elders we have imbibed from him could result in an unsuspecting fraternization with members of their mathas. This could leave us vulnerable to subtle impurities, derailing our dependency on Srila Prabhupada. So, this is also something he is constantly combating. During this morning walk, Ak- Akshayananda Swami sought Shastric verification of our standards of chanting japa, which some have faulted. Of course, we accept, he said. When you tell us to chant 16 rounds, we accept that figure in perfect faith. You are the Acharya. But what if we wanted to convince others? Is there any Shastric or Vedic verse we can refer to corroborate that at least they must chant 16 rounds or that many members of names? No, Prabhupada answered. In the Shastra, it is not said like that. It is said, Sankhya Purvaka, you must fix up in numerical strength, whatever you can. But I have fixed up 16 rounds because you cannot do. Akshayananda Swami confirmed, that's all we can do. Prabhupada smiled and added, with a touch of irony, yes, that also is difficult. Akshayananda Swami laughed, yes. Prabhupada continued, otherwise Haridas Thakur was chanting 3 lakhs. So that is not possible. You should not imitate, but whatever you fix up, you must do. That is wanted. Yes, Akshananda Swami. I was told that in the beginning you asked the first disciples to chant 64 rounds. Prabhupada said yes. They were unable. Akshananda said. To our laughter, he added, then you asked them to chant 32. Prabhupada grind. Sankhya Purvaka Nam Gana Nitibhi. Sankhya Purva. Or numerical strength must be there. And you should follow rigidity. So if we are serious and sincere, it means that 16 will increase to continuously chanting. Akshananda Swami said, you can do also now. Prabhupada said, it is not that because I have finished 16 rounds, you can increase, but that 16 must be finished. Yes, Akshananda Maharaj agreed. What I means is that's to bring up the platform of chanting constantly. At least we must do that numerical number. If we are fortunate, we may finally be able to chant constantly day and night. Yes, Prabhupada confirmed. As we walked on, people began to appear here and there, a few at first, the numbers gradually increasing, going about their morning duties in preparation for another bout of daily labor. A few bicyclists passed us, whizzing silently along under self propulsion, swerving at the last moment to avoid seemingly certain collision. More dangerous than cars, Prabhupada commented. Srila Prabhupada then initiated a conversation about his favorite subject, materialistic science. He asked whether scientists acknowledge that there is life on the sun globe. Thus, a long animated discussion ensued about the defects of scientific speculation and the inability of the godless scientists to solve the real problem of life, birth, death, disease, and old age. He walked as far as his halfway mark, a solitary house called Moda Place, then returned at the same brisk pace. The temple bell rang as Prabhupada entered the compound grounds. He walked across the red flagstones and into the temple to greet their lordships Krishna and Balram and give Srimad Bhagavatam class. Just before entering the temple door, he summarized modern society, Hiranyakashipu civilization, and we are presenting Prahlad civilization. So this is a struggle, but ultimately Prahlad will come out triumphant and Hiranyakashipu will be killed. Jai Hari Krishna. Anybody wants to continue, or may I continue?
Over the time.
Gora, we did 1 hour, it's 9:30.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is 1 hour, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody okay?
I think, Prabhuji,
Uh,
the class has ended with a good note. Jaya, Hare Krishna.
Prahlad civilization.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is good. We have a good reading. Please take notes of where we stop. Okay. And this is very nectarian. We should get more people, to read and participate. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. I see you Sunday. Let me know of the class banner and everything, right? So that we do it. But it's okay. I was about to say something. Prabhupada was emphasizing book distribution, and I had a talk about book distribution with all of you, and we have to start thinking about how we can do book distribution in our own, private way. I'm ready to send books to everybody, a box of books, Bhagavad Gita, small books, whatever you may need, and I can send to you, and I can finance a little bit of the books. You ask, maybe you want a box, 100 small books, or maybe a box of Bhagavad Gita, and you can go and distribute. And we can put it into one account, and you can get more books. And like this, we keep growing this and distributing books. It's very static. And I don't know if we can do 2,000 books one day, but we can do, enough to start something that can grow. And the things in Krishna consciousness, they have this tendency to grow if you do sincerely and honestly. So you think, how can be done? What you could, think that you could do this service somehow. Because today, for example, I went to this Hare Krishna convention, and I remember I have this Chinese man, Mr. Felix. He's a Chinese man. He's there for a long time. He did this glass here. He does my glass. It's very good. I got a new lens, and I saw a Chinese guitar, and I got somebody to buy a guitar for me so I can give it to him. I thought it was very good. So two people get the benefit of distributing the book. So he got the book today. I went there, I gave the book. He was very enlivened. He's the Haribo guy, Haribo. He's always telling Haribo now. I told him about the Haribo. So he start simple, but we can, have people like that we can, preach a little bit and distribute the books. Prabhupada, in the Jaladuta, he went to the captain. He sold his books to him. Prabhupada was expert. So we can become expert, by selling people books, asking donation for, so we can print more books and keep the process going. It's very enlivening, it's a good service too. So you all consider this. Let's hack the brain so we can figure out this thing. I have the people in Bombay, that's the BBT, we get BBT prices, and then we can, sell the books. We can even make a little Gihastra money on the side, some money for the project, like that, we can, bring this thing on, okay? There is a temple in Tirupati that 60%, and it's a crores of rupees, 60% of the temple was built by book distribution. The temple president told 60%. You can look, Tirupati temple. It's very big. So much projects in there. So that temple was built to 60% of book distribution. Of course, they go in front of Tirupati and they have tables in all the major temples there. the TTD, they help them, but we can have also our own initiative. So I leave every one of you to consider that. And with that note, because there was about book distribution and Prabhupada was very enlivened, he will be enlivened by our endeavor. I guarantee you. Okay? Anybody, anything else you want to say? I couldn't hear you, but it's okay. This is the time when I was a devotee. I was in Brazil in December of 75. The devotees told me, we're going to India, and I was preparing to go to India and get some documentation, everything. I think by January, we went to India, and the festival was in February, because the December is the marathon, and the devotees, I think they talk about the marathon in there, and the devotees, all those people, the great book distributors, they're like amazing personnel, Tripurari, Buddhimanta, Pragosh. Those guys have mystic power. I can tell you, because I went there, I distributed in the Chicago airport, and I was there for some time for some reason. And I saw the hard karmis. Chicago is a business place. All the suits, men, they travel in this, they go to this funnel, they go to different areas to get different planes. And they have a place in the top which is all glass, the walls are all glass. And they keep looking down and seeing the devotees doing Sankirtan. And they keep nudging each other. Look at that guy in there. Look at that guy in there. And he got a donation there. He was just amazing seeing the devotees doing Sankirtan. These are the karmis, the hardcore businessmen. And they were amazing touched by the transcendental potential of the devotees. Anyway, I leave you all. Thank you so much for great association. And with the permission, we'll leave now. Thank you. Hare Krishna.